Do you want to say a few words to get started? Okay. Okay, we'll get started. For those of you who are in person, thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you so much for braving the cold today. It's great to see some new and old faces. And we have folks online starting to join in, just over 30 at the moment. So welcome to NEO, and thank you to NEO for having us today. We're really excited to be here. I'm going to let Philippe, our host, say a few words before we get started.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks so much for coming. I'll pass it over really quickly to Kelly, but just want to say thank you. You guys can hear us online, all good? Thumbs up? Yeah, awesome. Okay, sweet. Well, yeah, thank you guys. I'll just kind of introduce the space because we're here in the historic HBC building. We renovated the space. For those of you online, we'll have to bring you in for a tour later on. But we just renovated the whole space early last year. And so we moved in. We've been here for almost 12 months now. And so for the most part, our marketing teams, our sales teams, our customer experience teams work out of this office. And then we have another about 250 people working now out of Gulf Canada Square. And those are more engineering, design teams. Debbie works out of that office. So yeah, obviously the old HBC building, you know, however tall these ceilings are and the pillars. And we had a party last year where we installed this mural. So maybe after we leave, we can take a big group shot and get everyone together. But anyway, just wanted to introduce, say thank you. Also, Spalumbo subs, grab some of those. They're for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much. And over to Kelly. If you guys
just do a bit of an intro to Rainforest first. Thanks for having us, Philippe and Kelly, and all of the NEO team. So I didn't introduce myself. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Bridget Legault, and I'm the community manager with Rainforest Alberta. And this is Amber Rowden, our community storyteller. I see they can only see us if we move over here. Okay, so thanks for joining us. Our weekly, call it a meetup event, Lunch Without Lunch, although thanks to NEO, we have some lunch today in person. If you'd like to use our handles or hashtags to share what we're up to today on your socials, please feel free. We'll head right into a little video about what is the rainforest. Or maybe we won't. Not working. Weird, eh? Bear with us. Oh, actually, first we'll just do a land recognition. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we would like to acknowledge that we do live, work, and play upon the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which includes the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, and the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3. So if you're joining us online from somewhere else in the province or the globe, please feel free to share whose traditional territories you live and work and play upon. And now,
what does it take to realize an idea? Or for a seed to sprout? At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
So the rainforest movement is based off of a book and research that was conducted back in 2012 about how tech ecosystems are like actual rainforests. And the analogy does go quite deep and scientific. And so if you're interested, please check out the book, Rainforest Building the Next Silicon Valley. That's what our movement's been based upon. And it has grown and ebbed and flowed over the years. But the foundation is around the social contract, which was just mentioned. So if you haven't signed it yet, please do. And if you're from NEO here and you want to share it widely with your teams, that would be fantastic. We view the ecosystem as being composed of these 6 pillars. Some of them are weighted heavier than others for what seem to be obvious reasons if you know the rainforest analogy quite deeply. Culture is the foundation of everything we do. Leaders help the movement grow and help the ecosystem grow. And of course, we have to have all these pieces around resources, policy, infrastructure, and engaged activities like we're doing today. So that's a little bit about the rainforest analogy. We do measure these pillars every year through a survey, which was recently conducted, and the latest results are up on our website if you'd like to check those out.
Yeah, sure. This is the social contract that Bridget mentioned earlier. If you scan this QR code, you'll be directed to the social contract to sign that. And these are the 10 values that we focus on, that we live, work, and play by. I'll give you a second to scan that QR code if you need it. And also share the link in the chat for those of you that are online. So are you curious about tech and innovation? Is there a question that you would love to ask? Are you looking for a mentor? Are you looking for someone to ask about investment, about anything you can think of? Well, Rainforest Alberta has a digital community powered by Inkly, and it's where you can ask a question and be purposely matched to someone that can answer that question right away. And so join Inkly and join our digital platform, digital community, where you can be matched to people to answer those questions right away. So if you scan that QR code, you'll be able to join. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to Bridget and I. And the more questions that we have, the better we are to provide resources and role models and all leaders to the community. There's already a lot of great responses on there for there's less questions and more responses. So we really want to keep the questions going. Might be it. All right, cool. So we're very excited to introduce our speaker for the hour, and that's Kelly McBroom at NEO. And she has a background in athletics, and it contributed to her team sport attitude that brought her to NEO and how she helped the team grow. And so we're going to hand it over to her. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone online. Hello, everyone here in person. I'm excited to chat with you. So my name's Kelly. I've been at NEO for 3.5 years now. I am one of the oldest employees of the organization. I have seen NEO from a co-working space when we were in the co-working space. Which one was it? I can't remember what it was called, out in Kensington. Showed up, and there was 14 guys in a co-working space, and I showed up as one of the first females of the company, and we were told to build a merchant network. So there was 3 of us, and we went door to door. So started off with literally nothing. We went door to door in Calgary. We talked to 2,000 business owners before we launched a product. We literally were selling air for almost an entire year. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I got chased out of places with brooms. We got told to go home. We got told this thing doesn't exist. We'd show up, we're like, hey, so we're gonna build a bank, which is not a bank, it's financial technology, and we're thinking about building a MasterCard, and I want you to come on as a partner. They're like, go home. Get out. So when you think about, and I had to laugh when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about team sport. And what the adage for team sport is I will create teams to play, dream, experiment, iterate, and persist. I understand mistakes happen. Failing quickly and cheaply are acceptable ways of testing new ideas. And it just put me back into the mindset of there was literally 14 of us, and we were working 14-hour days, and we were going door to door, failing every single moment of every single day. I came by it honestly. My background is sport. I was a national team ski racer for many years, and so failing and falling and getting back up and continuing to fail is literally my nature. I've had a lot of injuries, a lot of moments where I was told I'd never make it, I'd never do anything, and was told I'd never ski again. And then I would just pick myself up and come back and keep going. And the element of persistence, I think, was the big aspect of that, where you can do as many things as you possibly want. You have to set your mind to it. You have to have the right goals, and you have to work really, really, really hard. When it came to NEO, we had to listen to our customers. We had to talk to people. And I know when you're talking about starting a tech company and you're talking about starting an idea, what's the first thing they tell you? Go talk to people, get out of the office, make sure you're testing your product, make sure you're getting market feedback. That is literally what we did. I was lucky that when we were kicking off NEO, I was just coming out of grad school. So at the time, when I met Jeff Adamson, who was one of the founders of Skip the Dishes, one of the founders of NEO, he pulled me aside and we met up at Tuk Tuk Thai. And I remember we sat down and he was talking about building this grandiose thing. He's like, the banking industry in Canada is completely broken and we want to be a top 6 bank in 6 years. I'm like, okay, this sounds intriguing. Tell me more. Very excited about this. And then he kept going on. I'm like, hey, well, what am I going to be selling? He's like, oh, no, that's on you to figure out. We're going to figure it out. We want to build a MasterCard with a merchant network attached to it. And your job is to go out and figure out how to sell it. So what did we do? We left the office. We, in fact, were on the road from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. talking to people. We each had our own little quadrants of the city. I myself brought on over 1,000 merchant partners as we were launching NEO. Once we figured out the pitch, we got a ton of feedback. Again, this is all without a product. We didn't have anything in market. We didn't even have a landing page. In fact, I wasn't even allowed to send emails. We couldn't have a paper trail because we didn't know what we were selling. And so what we did is that we just kept testing and we kept going, and we'd come back to the office at 6 p.m. I would kick Chris Samare out of his desk in the co-working space, and myself and Barrett, who was with my buddy with me, 3 of us would share one little desk, and we would go to town trying to figure out how do we sell something that doesn't exist yet. What landed today? The way we did it, you guys, Google Sheets, talking to people, and we kept it so simple. In fact, we didn't invest anything in this until we figured out how we could pitch it. And at that point, we scaled the team. So once we got merchant partners on board, at that point, we had around 1,000 people interested on a wait list. And then we were able to scale the team. That's when we brought in the big guns from Skip, who had done this before, who knew how to, after 0 to 1, how do you go 1 to 750 really quickly? So we brought in those guys who were really good at building systems, really good at scaling, at which point we were able to launch and grow NEO really quickly through city launches. And so again, we took off into the streets, and we'd show up into a market and we'd go to town, getting more merchant partners built. We'd tip the city, and then we'd continue on with city launches. So I just had to laugh though when I was prepping that you can iterate and fail fast and start really cheap, because that's exactly what we did. We started with nothing. And to this day, we still have to test everything. And what's really interesting is that we look around, and sometimes I have to pinch myself that it started off at a co-working space and now we're here. And we're a company of almost 900 strong. We're a unicorn valuation, and now we have over 10,000 merchant partners, and we're bringing on more basically every single day. So it's really exciting. It's been a journey. We've worked our butts off. Everybody here has absolutely grinded for the last 3.5 years, and it's taken a lot of hard work and a lot of failures. And so I'm telling anyone, if you're interested in starting a tech company, be prepared, saddle up. It's going to be really hard. And I wish you all the best, and really make sure you're going out and talking to customers. So that's kind of story at Neo. Now, what I'm working on now, so I run the marketplace sales team. So I've kind of gone full circle. I've done all kinds of projects, done a bunch of 0-to-1s, and then I've come back to run the marketplace sales team, where we continue to launch new markets and bring on, we're going from 10,000 merchants and trying to figure out how we bring on 30, 50, 100,000 business partners. So very, very exciting. And I'll open up the floor for any questions. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything that they'd like to ask. I'm an open book. Hello, Zoomers. If anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Happy to answer anything. Here, I'll give you a microphone. Oh, we have a second one.
Thank you. That was great. I'd like to know more about that first initial journey. First, what was that initial pitch like? Do you remember that pitch? And second, how did you keep your teams motivated as you got the door slammed on you many times? And third, how do you move around with being so big? Because when you're a smaller startup, it's easier to move around. It's more agile. You take more risks, but when you're bigger, you're more exposed. So those 3 questions.
Okay. First one. Actually, the second one. How do you keep your team motivated? Oh, I think it comes back to who you hire. So everything, when you're starting a company, you start your company with generalists and people who really, really believe in the vision. We were lucky, and this is where my sport background came into play. Myself, Barrett, and Ryan, who were the first 3, and Jeff Adamson, were all sport backgrounds. We are all ex-athletes. We're cut not from a different cloth, but we're used to hard work. We're used to reaping what you sow. You're used to working as hard as you possibly can, knowing that there might not be something on the other end. If you expect that there's something on the other end, it's gonna be really difficult to keep that motivation going. Versus, we didn't have a choice. It was, hey guys, in order for us to get a Series A, we need to go out and prove that we can sell this to merchant partners. One of our pillars is merchant-led growth. If we can get merchant partners on board, well then what? We can get some investment. And at that time, it was seed money. So I was sitting in there looking at Andrew Chow, Chris Samare, Chris Reed, and Jeff Adamson saying, well, I better perform. I have no choice. If I want to keep a job, if we want to build something that's truly, truly great, then I don't have a choice than to go out and figure it out. So we just rolled up our sleeves and we tested and we iterated and we really went deep on the pitch. We figured out what was landing with merchants, what was not landing with merchants. Unfortunately, we found out Skip the Dishes does not land with restaurants when you're trying to sell something new. So we had to stay away from Skip. And we really got granular with it, where when you think about, to your first question, the pitch, we broke it down into simple concepts. And every single pitch that we had to hit 3 different concepts. And then we tested. And we got to a point where we had a Google Sheet. And after every single meeting, we would look and I'd go A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. And each one of those was one of our 3 pillars and points that I wanted to hit. And I'd look at, where did a merchant give me an emotional cue? Where did they get scared? And what did I say? And then guess what? We wrote it down. And then we would test and iterate. Okay, if I said banking and they got scared, what's another word for banking? If I said credit card and they got scared, what's another way to position credit card? And we really got granular until we had something that was repeatable. Once you have a process that's repeatable, then you can scale it. Until then, you are testing and you're iterating. And we literally talked to 2,000 business owners to figure out what it was that we were pitching. And then I just kept coming back. So it was persistence, because again, we didn't have anything to sell. We were selling a hope and a dream and a vision. And that vision, luckily, people were gravitating to, because we are solving a really amazing problem. And the vision of what we're building at Neo is so big and so exciting that if you have people who are really bought into the vision and bought into the why of what you're doing, you don't have to motivate them on the day-to-day because you have the right people on the bus. So the early pitch, we've connected a credit card with an app. That was basically it. And then we just went from there and figured out what words, what keywords, what to say, what not to say, how to position it, different personas, and then we really went deep from there. And then I think you had a third question. I may have answered it, maybe not.
It's about being bigger. You said that you didn't even have an email when you started.
Yep.
And that's sometimes easier to get started because you have a perfect excuse to just try stuff and, you know, no risks. But when you're bigger, it's harder to take those risks and keep that agile culture going. How do you go about that now today?
So I think today it really comes from the founders. So it starts with leadership, and Chris, Andrew, Jeff, we still prove and iterate models before you put any money into it. So an example, last year I was pulled off of enterprise sales and sent into the malls to go figure out how to sell a credit card when we were launching activations. And it was the same thing. We started small and we tested, we proved the model, and then we scaled it. And then there were other things with hiring. So at one point I was doing recruitment hiring for a couple months for brand ambassadors after we launched that program. And Chris had this idea of a vision of what he wanted to build. And what we did before we invested in any systems or anything is that we tested it. We tested and we ran little experiments. And then we got really granular with the data and said, did this work? Did it not? Is it worth investing in? So when you think about from a large organization perspective, it is slower. However, if you have leadership who still forces individuals in the organization to test and prove models before scaling, that's how you can build really fast. And you'll see that in how quickly Neo launches products. Neo's incredible at launching products very, very, very quickly. I'd say it's one of our biggest strengths and one of our biggest leg ups on the big five when you think about how fast we're moving.
Great, thank you, Kelly.
Which you can probably see over there, but I'll read on the mic. Quite a few. So the first one is, how does the business model create the funding pool? Banks use depositors. Is it entirely investor supported?
Honestly, that might even be over my head. I focus on partnerships. I don't know.
Let's move on. There is a question around, are you able to share any future directions or technologies that Neo is currently working on?
Oh, that's a great question. The answer is no. I would love to. Can we? I'm always very hesitant of announcing things, so I'm gonna err on the side of caution here and say watch the news in the coming weeks, as we do have some very big things coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I think watch the news. I think one thing we can say is, like, you know, you've alluded to it, that, you know, we, over the last 3 years, we've had that mission of becoming a top 6 bank in Canada. So over the last 3 years, we've launched a credit card, a savings account, we've launched a Hudson's Bay card, mortgages, investments. Over the next 3 years and 5 years, we're planning to continue to build financial products that continue to challenge the big banks. So what we've done in 3 years, you know, we're going to continue to grow this growth curve, or follow this growth curve and build more. So if now we've launched 7 products in 3 years, just imagine what we'll launch in the next 5. Tip
of the iceberg. Good
and
questions.
I love the partnership with Hudson Bay because we're standing in it. Isn't it the old lingerie department? Didn't you tell me that, Philippe?
Yeah.
If you used to shop here, it's quite a funny feeling to stand in the building for this reason. Andre from Virtual Gurus wants to hear your elevator pitch, Kelly.
Oh, my elevator pitch. Wow. Well, it's a little longer. That's the problem with Neo. So it's very, very complicated, but very simple. What we've done is we've created a marketplace for businesses to market themselves without investing in a third-party company. So when you think about marketing from a small business perspective, it's really, really difficult because you're always paying a third party for growth. What we've done is we've created Neo, it's a marketplace where businesses can get the same exposure and get access to the same products as the big companies do, like a PC Optimum, a WestJet, Canadian Tire, and we give it to them for free. So they can utilize Neo to help grow their organization or grow their company, increase sales, get more business, and really get that exposure by incentivizing spend at those business partners without investing in a third party. So Neo makes money on transactions. We're aligned with the growth of these businesses. It's a free marketing channel for businesses to utilize to help them grow. It's probably the shortest elevator pitch I've ever done, but
Well
pressure.
done. I'll come back to Tommy's question here in a moment, but Marty's kind of continues on from that. So he's asking, are there any reservations from potential partners for switching to Neo?
So partners don't switch to Neo. They actually don't change anything in their day-to-day operations. We're a MasterCard. Customers have our MasterCard. Actually, 1 in 38 Canadians uses a Neo product, so that's
Wow.
pretty exciting. And businesses already accept credit cards. What they don't get is value when people use other credit cards besides a Neo card, because they're paying transaction fees on every single transaction. That fee helps fund the points program associated with those large cards. That's how credit cards work. Neo comes along and we can incentivize spend at local businesses, and we don't have to change anything. They don't have to train their staff. They don't have to implement anything. It's just business as normal, and we can be one more channel for growth for them. So when you think about reservations, they don't trust us. They don't trust us. They've never heard of us. Once they understand the model, it makes complete sense, and they get really, really excited. What our job is to simplify it and make it very, very easy for someone who doesn't understand technology. How do they understand something like this and use it in their own business and in their day-to-day? And that's something tech founders typically aren't the best at, because you're thinking this grandiose vision. You have this pie in the sky idea. Think AI, machine learning. You have all these crazy things, and then you have the end consumer. So how do you simplify it into very easy terms? And that's where, when you think about the pitch and iteration, you need to watch for what cues are you getting from your customers, what words do they understand, who is your customer. Get into the mind of the customer so that you can really align with their problems, their wants, what solutions you're providing, and then what they engage with as well.
Can you talk a little bit more about that, building out that partnership strategy across the entire country so quickly? Like Neo stickers all of a sudden were everywhere, is from my perspective.
Thanks.
How did that
We're just-
happen?
We're so good at making cold calls. So after we went door to door, we then scaled the team, and this is where the skip the dishes model really came into play, where we did city launches, and we targeted different cities before HBC. This is all before the Hudson's Bay. We targeted different cities to say, hey, we're going to go after Vancouver, we're going to go after Edmonton. At this point, we've already launched Calgary, and what we did is that we'd really go after getting a couple big partnerships on board, and then after that, it's a lot of name dropping. Who else are you working with? People buy from people they know, love, and trust. Very simple concepts. People look at it, it's fast and it's impressive to build a merchant network of 10,000 partners. It's not crazy though. We focus on very, very simple things. Getting on the phone, getting in front of the decision maker, getting in front of owners, pitching them on value, solving problems for them, and making it really, really simple. And people buy from people they know, love, and trust. So how do we become people they know, love, and trust? Stickers. We have many billboards all over the entire country. That's a one touch point that customers can see when you think about a marketing tract and a marketing funnel. And so we copied very much what the playbook was from Skip and applied it to Neo, except we came in full force and then we sprinted. And the other aspect of that was that we worked really, really hard.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll pass it to Annette here, but just one more question in relation to this topic is from Brent around how do you keep Neo top of wallet? How do you encourage end users to use the card first?
Well, that comes back to the merchant partnerships that we have. If we can get as many merchant partners on board that people actually want to spend at, Well, guess what card you're going to keep going to, because we offer a really high cashback. When you think about comparatively, if a customer can get a 10% welcome bonus, we're the best credit card on the market. And so if we can continue to get amazing places that people know, love, and trust onto our network, and then if they start promoting Neo, if they put stickers everywhere, Neo just becomes integrated. And then think about the ecosystem. If we can provide products that customers can use everywhere and we become the one-stop shop for banking services, hallelujah. Then customers are going to use Neo more and more as it's more top of wallet because it's top of mind as well. And then if you get incredible cash back, so for any of you who doesn't have a Neo card, you should probably get one. They're awesome. We're in here, got to plug it. But the more you spend, the more you get. It's very much like a Starbucks rewards. And so the more you spend at merchant partners, the more cash back you get. And then the cash back, you can do all kinds of things with it. It's cash value. It's not points. You're not saving up to buy a toaster at the end of the year. You can actually use it today. And you can spend it in dollars today. And then we have the cash out store and everything becomes really sticky. So when you think about an ecosystem, think about network effects, think about how you engage with products as a consumer, that's how you're going to get top of wallet behavior. And it's something we're always trying to solve.
So over the last 3 years, you've probably seen a lot of people come to Neo to work. You've seen some stay and you've seen some leave.
Mhm.
What are the qualities that you think makes someone successful at Neo and who would enjoy a career here?
Oh, that's a great question. I think when you think about the people who are here and who are really bought into the vision, again, it comes down to the why. Why are you here? Why does building something that is so big and so hard, why is it compelling to you as an individual? So you think from a recruitment strategy, from an engagement strategy and culture. It takes a very special person to be bought into to building something that's going to be life-changing for Canadians. And that's what I keep coming back to when times get hard. I'm not going to lie, it's been hard. It's been really hard, hardest thing I've ever done. Yet I keep coming back to why am I here? What am I accomplishing? And why do I continue to want to stay here? Well, think if I can be part of the story of building something that's truly going to impact Canadians' lives for years and years and years to come, that's exciting to me. So when you think about why the people who are successful here, it's the people who can really understand the why. Why are they here? Why is this important to them? Who are they impacting on the daily? I think about 38 million Canadians, and if we can help keep Canadians financially literate, help teach Canadians how to manage their money, help really bring innovation to the banking sector in Canada, oh, that gets me fired up. I also love massive goals. When I was training on the national team, it was all about huge goals that are going to be really hard to attain. So that's what's kept me going when there has been people who haven't made it. And it's takes a special person, but again, comes back to the why, comes back to the leadership, comes back to who the founders are hiring, who you bring on board as your early employees are really, really, really important, because they're going to be the ones who continue to foster that culture, continue to foster that energy throughout the organization, because coming in as employee 14 versus now 900, it's a very different time. People didn't see what it was like when it was just 14 of us in a co-working space figuring it out, versus now we're a huge organization.
Hey, Kelly, you found the microphone. Thanks so much for sharing passionately about how Neo started. I'm curious, when you talk to your friends and family, what's something you're most proud about working with Neo right now? Is there a customer story or team member story that you can share that you're most excited about when you talk to the people that are in your network about Neo?
Oh, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of things to be really proud of when you think about having been here for 3.5 years. I think when I tell my friends and family, they still don't understand what I do on the day-to-day, I'll be truly honest, because they have seen me go from selling an app connected to a credit card to this legitimate company. And sometimes they think, they're like, oh yeah, Kelly's selling a credit card again, like, okay. It's like, no, this thing is legit and it's real, and we're $1 billion company now. We're a unicorn. And so that's been really difficult for me, actually, is getting the people who are closest to me to understand that it's not just me out there selling a vision. No, this is legitimate. And again, it comes down to trust. So you think about what I'm really proud of. I'm proud to be part of the story. I'm proud to have worked as hard as I have. And I'm really excited to see what we can do, because to go from 14 to 900 individuals, seen a lot of change, a lot of growth. I've had a ton of experience being exposed to so many amazing people. Truly is your network. Same thing with grad school. When I was in grad school, you get an MBA because of the network. Also things that you learn, but a lot of it's the network. Same thing here. You understand who you know, and then what you can impart. So when I think about my next role, my next move, I'm excited for Calgary. I'm excited for Alberta. What can we do? Tech was not a thing when I was growing up. Oil and gas. And to be part of that to me makes me really, really proud. And that's why I think, having the rainforest, having different ecosystem partners is so important. I heard someone say recently that you can't say that there's a tech ecosystem until you have 3 unicorns in that ecosystem. And so we have a couple, Benevity, Neo, and then I think we actually do have a third. ShareWorks. Yeah, so maybe we are that ecosystem now. But it's going to take a lot of people who worked at Neo to now go to those other tech companies and really share the learnings. And that's when we're really going to work together to help Alberta and to help diversify the economy in Calgary and the greater prairies as well.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your passion.
Okay, we have a couple other questions in the chat, and then we'll maybe turn it over to some networking time. John asks, what advice do you have for introverts when it comes to cold calling?
Just pick up the phone, John. No, actually, reps. Reps. That's all it is. And I tell my team this every day. Make more reps. Just pick up the phone and dial. The less you think about it, the better off you're going to be, and the more authentic and genuine you are. It's just people. They're just people on the other side of the call. And honestly, the more you call, the less scary it becomes. And what's the worst that can happen? They hang up on you? Okay, cool. Bye. Pick up the phone and call the next guy. And that's that. I hate using hunter mentality because I don't love that, but it's true. You are hunting. You have to have that innate motivation to just pick up the phone and keep trying. Same thing, fall down. When I would fall skiing, trust me, I fell a lot. I was on my face more than I could count. But what do? Well, get back up and you try again. So if you're getting hung up on, John, probably maybe think about what you're saying. Maybe get a little more granular on your tonality. How do you sound? Do you sound authentic? Do you sound like a salesperson? People hang up on salespeople all the time. I know I do. So make more reps would be my biggest advice to you.
Awesome. And a question from Mandeep. What sort of purchase protection assurance does a Neo card have, especially regarding chargeback policies?
You know what, Mandeep? I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm going to tell you to give the customer experience line a call. They happen to be right here in the office. They'll know actually better than me. So unfortunately, I'm really good at my product knowledge, but it comes to a point, and I'm perfectly comfortable saying that I don't have an answer for you. And that's probably the best policy that I can have for you right now.
Fair enough. And do we have any other questions from the audience here? From Ty? Just a sec, Ty.
Thank you. Super cool presentation. I really like how genuine it is. I guess the question that I have is, like, given that Neo is such a success story and it came up so quickly, are there any challenges that come with working with such a rapidly scaling team?
What challenge do you want? We've got them all.
Top 2.
Yeah, there's tons of challenges. I mean, every single day it's different challenge. Changing market conditions, we're going to be scaling, there's culture, there's new people coming in, new hires. How do you hire that fast? How do you keep people on board? How do you keep people motivated? It comes to everything. Everything. Same thing with merchants. You're like, oh, inflation is so high, I can't afford anything. It's like, well, yeah, I totally get it. It's a tough time. So we have dealt with everything. Any problem under the sun is probably what we've dealt with. And again, it comes back to leadership. It comes back to the vision. It comes back to the why. Why are you here? Why is this exciting? Why does launching products so quickly get you excited? And I keep coming back to changing the lives of Canadians, and then also that changing Calgary for the better, being part of that story and really helping diversify the economy. And I'd say that's what I keep coming back to. But we have seen it all. It has not been easy for sure. It's a success story, but there's a lot of people here who have been working really, 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 really hard. And I do have to shout out to all the devs, all of the engineers, everyone who is pulling all-nighters to make sure that we can launch these products and launch them as fast as we possibly can.
Inspirational.
Thanks, everyone. You guys should go network and have some Splumbos.
Kelly, Tommy is reminding me in the chat here that I have forgotten his question and he wants answered. Can you comment on how NEO is addressing new regulations around fintech's growth in Canada? He says, I think the Canadian bank lobby is very powerful and maintains their oligopoly by buying out competitors.
Again, Tommy, I wish I could give you a really clear answer. That's going to be something more reserved for the founders and leadership to answer. I don't have an exact answer for you right now. I'd rather you send a message to Jeff, Chris, or Andrew and ask them directly. I don't like to speak out of turn or on things that I'm just not exposed to as much as I am on the day-to-day. I'm pretty in the weeds on bringing on merchant partners right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks, everyone. Have some Splumbos.
So yeah, we're gonna go into networking. We're just gonna do some community announcements. But first, I just want to say a big thank you to Neo, to Kelly, to Philip, to the awesome IT team and the volunteers that helped us out today. It was really awesome to be here and for the lunch, and we're really grateful for you for having us and for speaking. So one community announcement that I have, Rainforest Circles, February 24th is the last day to apply. It's free. It's 7 weeks learning experience. It's growing your leadership skills, diversifying your networks, meeting new people, and growing your leadership skills. And so please join us. It's a special opportunity, and like I said, it's free. We have Megan Donahoe and Alicia White who will be hosting those and taking us through learning, so it's a really great opportunity. That's the barcode to scan it, and yeah, I'll open it up if anyone else has any community announcements. No? All right. Well, if you do, you can send them to me and Bridget. We will post those for you. And yeah, we'll just get into some networking, and we'll throw you into breakout rooms online. And thank you so much. And get some sandwiches if you haven't already.